when it comes down to the question about who makes the decision, the technologists or the business people, one of the advantages we have is that we're a big fan of agile project management techniques, which means that we tend to bring the technologists and the business guys together and make a joint assessment of what the opportunity is and what the costs are doing that. It's very easy to spend an awful lot of money chasing those last few tens of microseconds or hundreds of microseconds. But if it isn't really justified by the business case, then unfortunately even though it's a lot of fun, you have to sort of sit there and realise that there's a cost balance to be drawn here. And that's really been our principles that built our infrastructure. We found that the demand for low latency very much varies by customer segment. So, for example, for us, we find that at one extreme you have the point-and-click traders, but in anything faster than 100 milliseconds is essentially instantaneous. And some of these people are quite happy to trade over the internet from places like China. And I was talking yesterday with somebody who was considering that 385 milliseconds was fast for the delivery of market data and for orders. We've got institutional brokers. We have institutional brokers for whom an execution time of 3 to 5 milliseconds is much faster than anything else they've ever seen in their entire lives, and they're very happy with that. And then you've got general members who are sort of far more experienced and used to the equities markets, and they are very happy with the hundreds of microseconds worth of latency which they get for that particular type of member. So it really does depend enormously on what your expectations are and what you're looking for. I think in terms of the pure HFT space, Alistair Haynes from Aquis Exchange draws a parallel with Formula One teams. And it's very easy to get caught up in the excitement of Formula One and forget that on almost all the car journeys made around the world, it just go to the shops or to drop off the kids. And that's actually where a lot of the real trading is coming from, certainly in the spot FX space. I suppose it depends very much on the application. If you go and talk to the public cloud providers about what the resiliency is like for a particular instance, they'll go away and advise you to make your application ready for the cloud, which basically means it's got to be able to tolerate things crashing left, right and centre with no notice. So it depends very much on what the application is. I guess one of the things to watch out for is if it's anything that's reasonably low latency or anything that's sort of critical, then it's probably not a good candidate. One of the things to echo what Joe was saying, one of the things we're finding that's interesting is the rise of things like private cloud infrastructures, so things built around things like OpenStack, for example. Economics-wise, they actually can be a lot cheaper than going to the public clouds. I heard that the return on investment for a $100,000 rack of equipment for Amazon EC2 was around about 1 month. When you stack that up against building your own private cloud, sometimes if you've got the right sort of workload, one that uses a lot of CPU, isn't very spiky, essentially a rectangular profile where you're just burning machine CPUs as much as you can, then that can end up being significantly cheaper just to do it in-house or through somebody who's creating a dedicated cloud that is to go to one of the public providers. So I guess it depends very much on the application. It's one of those things, it's not just, I suppose, a regulatory thing, but also the push for transaction cost analysis is also driving things to be done in slightly different ways. It's really a big unknown at the moment. I mean, it's really early days in terms of discussion. So the minimum hold timers we were talking about before being discussed by the EU. It's really difficult. I mean, going back to the analogy of Formula One, I mean, the regulations come in there to limit the size of the engines and all that sort of stuff. I think what's likely to happen is, from a purely engineering technical point of view, the competition will just evolve around those rules, and where the edge is going to be sought is going to be in different areas. I can't see that the competition is just going to magically disappear to have the best or the fastest platform. It will just evolve to fit around the regulation, whatever that regulation turns out to be.